Well, good afternoon, everybody. Is this loud enough? Everybody hear me? We good? All right. You good? Good back there? All right. Well, for anybody that doesn't know us, my name is Neil, and this is my wife, Brittany. We have been on the road now. A little louder? Okay. So my name is Neil. This is my wife, Brittany. We have been on the road now for a good while. It's actually been just shy of 7 years, about 4.5 in our van. So it's been quite the adventure. And we just kind of wanted to start this talk off with just getting a show of hands. We're gonna see who here doesn't have a van or an RV and hasn't gone on the journey yet. All right, right there, we got a few. Okay, so what we're gonna do, let's go bring a couple of those over to them. So that's a little gift from Nuvo Vans over there.
Couple of those.
Thank you.
Hoping that gets you a step closer to put your keys on there of your van. All right, so who else has only been in their van for 6 months or less? Okay, so we got a fair amount that are pretty new. Anybody that is a 6 months to a year, raise your hand. All right, and now a year to 2 years. Okay, we got a pretty good amount there. And now let's go for the 5-year mark. Do we got anybody 5 years?
Oh, all right.
Okay. How about 6? 5.5. 5.5 years? Right there. Well, Tracy, you are the lucky winner. Wait, we got somebody behind you. We got to narrow this down then. Let's see. He's at 8.
Oh,
That's the winner then.
Yep, that's it.
There you go. That's a little swag bag from Nuvo. Just want to say thanks for everybody coming out before we get into the actual finance talk.
Afterwards.
So now I'm going to hand the mic over to Brittany, where she's going to take off the start of this talk. We use a lot of different methods when we're on the road to save money. Apps, of course. There's lots of apps. We'll get into those, but Brittany's going to start with some unique ways that we save money, and we're talking serious amounts of money.
Testing. Oh man, this is a hard thing to do here. Okay, so this is something that I'm really passionate about being on the road. Some people might call me the passenger princess here. But I do a lot of things being in the passenger seat, and one of those is finding out how to make money and then how to save money too. So I'm the saver. I love to save every penny, every dollar that we can. So there are a lot of different ways that we do that. So who here is really liking those prices of gas right now? We don't like it too much. So one of the apps that we use, it's called Upside. Has anybody ever heard of Upside? All right. So if you have never heard of Upside, it is an app that is free to download, and it has a bunch of gas stations all over the United States. And all you have to do is when you pull into these certain gas stations, you open the app, you just link the credit card that you're using. You're paying still on the pump. It's just a link to your credit card. You press a couple of buttons to claim the savings. It can be anywhere from 1 cent. I've had up to 22 cents a gallon extra savings that are going back into your pocket, and it's completely free to use. So that is one thing I tell everybody on the road to start using. So if you haven't, you got to check it out. And they're adding also restaurants on there as well, so you can save money back on restaurants. And you can even save money back in the gas stations as well. So I can tell you from our experience, we've gotten over $160 back just using this on the road, just right back into our bank account, and we're already up to another $35 just using that. So just taking an extra 30 seconds And we will go out of our way to go to these gas stations to save an extra 11 cents, 5 cents, whatever it is. So that is one app that I highly recommend that everyone uses. Upside, yes, UPSIDE, Upside.
All right, and well, everybody here probably has struggled occasionally with the price of a campground in a pinch if you couldn't get to some public land, especially on the East Coast. So there's a few programs which a lot of people are probably familiar with. You have Harvest House, of course, and if you're new to the van game or the RV world, it's an exceptional place to be able to stay at a unique stay for overnight. You may save money, but it depends. You're expected to spend $30. We end up usually spending about hundreds, or it costs us what we would at a campground. But we're supporting a local business and we're getting a meal out of it or drinks, that type of thing. So that's a good way just to save a little bit of money if you want, if you plan it right, or just get a unique experience and find a good place to stay on the road that's safe, where you don't have to go pay $120, $150 for a KOA if you're in a pinch. They can be expensive. And of course, everybody knows about Cracker Barrel, things like that to save money on the road. It's getting a little harder, especially in places like Florida, though. So that's where these programs like Harvest Host are going to be important, because I think it was like 3 counties in Florida this year banned any van stays. So it's just getting more difficult everywhere we've gone, especially on the East Coast. The East Coast is just not as van friendly, so it can be a little bit hard to save money. You need louder back there? Okay. Okay, so that's an easy way to save money on the road, just using free places like that. But there's apps like iOverlander, for example. If you're not familiar, definitely download it. I prefer the first one, not iOverlander 2, so we'll see if it stays around or not. But that is a very convenient way to save a quick $50 to $100 if you don't need a campground, that type of thing. We very rarely stay at campgrounds unless she's on a travel nurse contract. So we're always looking for a free place to stay or very affordable. And just places like iOverlander, very convenient. Harvest Host, of course, where we do have to spend a little bit of money, but for us, it's worth it. We'd rather support a local business. So that's a way just for your stays to save money. And there are a lot of other programs, but that's just probably the most popular program and then the most popular app for actually finding a free place to stay.
All right, and also, when it comes to gas, if you've gone to a Love's, if you've gone to a Pilot, they also have apps for free that you download, and most of the time, Love's lately has been doing 10 cents back per gallon, and Pilot usually does 3 to 5 cents, it depends. So another way to save on gas. Now another big expense, food. So we all know the grocery store is expensive, but of course, when you can make sandwiches every day and do all of that, you can save money doing it that way. But I also want to point out, we all love to stop and get some fast food or get something delicious when we're traveling. So almost all of these chains, they all have apps. And if you download a lot of these apps, you're going to save money automatically. Instead of just stopping and going in and ordering your food, if you just take 2 seconds, you download an app, you can save 25%, 50%. Sometimes they'll even give you free food just for downloading it. So even if I'm probably going to stop at one spot and I might not ever go there again, he has to wait 10 minutes because I am downloading that app to see if I can save us any money before we go in there and get our lunch. So I know he gets real happy about that sometimes.
Yeah.
He might get a little hangry. Oh man, I love it though.
You want to talk about Expensify?
Ooh, this one's for you.
Yeah. And so when we're on the road, most people probably have a set budget and you're kind of keeping track of it, or if you're just going, free range and just spending money, that's awesome. More power to you. But there's apps out there like Expensify, for example. You have free apps like that you can keep track of all your expenses. It'll put them into categories. So you'll be able to not only track, your gas, your food, of course, say you bought a built-out a van, maybe you got a payment on that, things like that. You can keep everything in order, and that right there will gauge what you need to put aside for this next topic that we're going to go into. It's because, unfortunately, van life is kind of glorified on YouTube. It's Instagram, stuff like that. It's not all sunshine and rainbows. You got breakdowns that can happen, flat tires on the road, things like that. So by using an app like Expensify, it allows us to see what we're spending each month, and then we can kind of look at that and say, okay, this is how much money we need to have saved in case we run into an emergency. And for us, it goes back to that old 3 month, have 3 months of your bills set aside. And that sounds hard to do, but in van life, if you're going, especially full time, you can reduce your expenses down tremendously, especially if you're going to build your own van out or buy a used older RV or van. You can easily save a ton of money, put that 3 months aside, and then start saving towards other goals or future travels. And we've used that a ton to use international travel. We like to do 1 or 2 trips a year, get out of the van, change things up. And that right there has allowed us to put the money aside and save while living on the road, and for us at least, living our dream, getting to see everything while we're, definitely younger compared to the average crowd that can afford to do this. But we've just managed by strictly looking at the budget, making sure we have enough money saved, and then the money after that we can put towards other goals or other trips. And especially like Brittany referenced, gas prices right now. We just came from Washington State about 2 months ago. We drove down, and it cost us an insane amount of money to do that. But the whole time we were putting a budget aside for gas. So that right there makes it easy. But it's just, you need to pay attention. If you're really trying to lower your expenses, pay attention to it and make sure you have that money set aside, because we've had tire blowouts on the road. I always carry a kit, so I fixed it myself, thankfully. But that could have turned into something worse if we didn't put money aside or put money into a program like we ourselves through Progressive Insurance. We have roadside that we pay for. We pay the little bit of extra. It makes sense for us just in case. But you got, AAA, things like that. But those are things you got to budget for. You really got to be strict to it if you want to put money aside, and then in 6 months be able to kind of live more free because you got that safety net. That's at least how we live, and we found it to be very beneficial. And we've been on the road, honestly, never really stressing about money because we're doing this way. There you go. So you need to figure out the basis. There you go.
So we're talking about how we budget and a little bit about how we save money, but a lot of people want to know how we actually make money while we're traveling on the road. So I am actually a traveling nurse, so that is the main thing that affords us to be able to live full time on the road. So we've been doing this since August of 2018, and so a lot of people don't understand how travel nursing works. So just a little basis on that is I work for travel nurse agencies. So I go online, I look at different contracts. They're in different states. They're all over the US. I can pretty much work anywhere I would like. I work in labor and delivery. And so I can go on, I can choose a job. I submit to it. They're anywhere from 4 weeks all the way up to 26 weeks. Most commonly, I work 13-week contracts. And so they put my application in. The hospital will call me for an interview. And if I like what they have to say and they like what I have to say, then I accept, and we get to go on the road to that city where I will work for 13 weeks. So that's a pretty big thing, because travel nurses are known to make a little bit more money than staff nurses do. The reason being, we get a tax-free stipend every week. So that is tax-free money that goes through our housing and our meals and everything else that we need to expense for while we're on the road. So that's our main source of income that drives what we do full time. But we have many other money revenues that we use that some of you guys can actually utilize too. And Neil's going to talk about this.
So some of you know that we have a YouTube channel. That brings in a little bit of money, and anybody can do that. It is a lot of work, to be honest, and it's not a lot of money for what you're doing. So I don't know if I recommend it, but it's a possibility. But when you're on the road, you start thinking, what can I do? And that's where I was at the first year we were on the road. I gave up my corporate career because she wanted to travel nurse, and I mean, I'm not going to say no to seeing the country. So of course we did it. But for me, I actually deep dived and I actually started doing fulfilled by Amazon. I was actually selling items on Amazon, and anybody can do it. It's pretty easy. And wherever I was going around to Walmarts, dollar stores, things like that. And I was finding toys, like children's toys. You got an app, you scan it, see what it's selling for on Amazon. It tells you what your fees are going to be to pay to Amazon and see if it's worth it. And then I would box up like 100 action figures, send it to Amazon, and they sell it. That's it. And it's just essentially, you got to do the work to get the items, but then it's just passive. And even to this day, I still have items that I sent in and they're selling. So it's just, and I haven't been doing FBA for about 2 years. So, you know, it's kind of a cool passive income at this point for what I have for remaining stock, but anybody can do that. All you need to do is you got a cell phone, that makes the job easy, and download the apps, and then just go around and find deals on whatever you can. Doesn't matter what it is. I think I sold hammocks at one point on there and made a huge profit, so it's possible. So that's one way anybody can earn a little bit of extra money. That's fairly easy once you get into the hang of it, and I recommend looking into it. Right here?
So if you like spend $200 on hammocks, you buy them, you really mail them to Amazon,
Yep.
and then piece by piece you get that money back with a profit?
Yeah, as they sell, well, I'll make profit off each item. So for example, I'll give you a really good one. There was these foot-tall action figures of Captain America. they were hot. Everybody was buying them, and they were selling for $46 on Amazon. I went to every Walmart within 4 hours of where we were, bought every single one because they were $9. My fee was $4 and some change. So think about the profit I made on that. I ended up selling over 1,000 of those. So that's just an example. I got lucky. You know, you get lucky and you find a gem like that. But that's a prime example of an easy way to make a little bit or a lot of extra money on the road. And you could get crazy with it. I know people that pull a trailer behind their van and they do it. And they're making $10,000, $20,000 a month. So it's possible. You could really turn it into a lucrative business. But it's an easy way to make side money just to pay for gas, food, and your ventures. So that's probably one of the easiest ins to making money on the road, in my opinion. And then, of course, you have Etsy, things like that, where you can make things if you're talented enough. I don't think I am in that sense, but to sell anything on there. But I'm sure there's plenty of people here that are selling on Etsy, and you can make extra money, you know, just doing that. And then, of course, we're here at Peace, Love, and Vans. You got vendors here. Obviously, some of these people are pretty big companies, but you can go to events that are smaller than this, where they actually don't charge you to set up, or you can come to events like this if you grow your business, and you can make a living just living on the road, going to events. We've met tons of people that do that. These guys right here, this food truck, obviously they're a food truck and they make money elsewhere, but they're at every single event that we go to. It's things like that. You can be creative if you want to travel events. There's a tattoo artist that we've met on the road. She has a tattoo studio built out in a Class C RV, and she goes to events and tattoos. I mean, it's pretty creative what you can do on the road if you just sit there, evaluate what everybody around you wants or needs, and you could be the person to fulfill that. So it's just a few little things like that we've done on the road. Besides, I haven't done Etsy, of course, I'm not skilled enough for that. But FBA, that's the easiest, you know, fulfilled by Amazon, recommend looking into it. But Etsy, if you're talented, of course, which I know everybody here is probably familiar with that. But like I said, we met people that make a living doing that on the road, living their dream. And hey, what's better than that? All right, you need your little thing here? Or you want me to speak still?
Talk about Amazon.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So speaking of Amazon, if anybody here, even if you have friends, family that you just communicate with on Facebook, you know, you stay in touch, you can make money from Amazon in another way. You can be an Amazon affiliate. So you'll probably see, if you go on Facebook, people will make pages where they post like Amazon deals. That's because they're Amazon affiliates. So they're making a little commission from Amazon for Amazon just selling the product, but you being the middle person that shared a link. That's it. So for us, we have a YouTube channel. We have an Amazon storefront because we've shared a lot of Amazon links and people have purchased a lot. I mean, we're pretty open about our finances here with Amazon. I think we've done, I don't know, extra $500-600 a year just from Amazon, just for doing nothing but sharing items that we enjoy, we like, and you don't need to have a YouTube channel to do that. You could share things in your story on Instagram. You could obviously share things on Facebook with family and friends. That's what we do around the holidays. We'll share links with some things, and family and friends know that we're Amazon affiliates. So they'll just click through a link, and then it tracks in their cookies for 30 days. So anything they purchase, you get commission from. So that's a really easy way for anybody to make a little bit of extra money. You just sign up as an Amazon affiliate, and if you purchase anything from Amazon, just share it with friends and family, people you meet. And if they're interested, say, hey, you purchase through the link, I get a little bit of money. It's not much to write home about, 5-10 cents, but it adds up. So that's an easy way with Amazon where you don't even have to worry about going and buying products and doing that. You can just make money sharing what you've purchased for yourself and that you use and that you actually believe in. And there you go.
So, getting back a little more into how we save money on the road. I take full credit for this one because Neil has nothing to do with this, but I do have to put in a little disclaimer. I am not giving you financial advice. This is just tips. So if you do anything with what I'm about to say, I am not guilty for anything that happens. So, credit cards and their rewards programs, they are a big deal when it comes to saving money. And I have to say, this is kind of like an onion. This all goes in layers. So I could talk about this all day, but I'm going to just go into the basics a little bit when it comes to this. So we were just talking about Amazon, and Amazon has their own credit card that you can get, and it has no annual fee. And every purchase that you make on Amazon, because I can probably say all of you have probably made a purchase from Amazon.com, you get 5% cash back. So I can tell you that we have gotten a lot of money back. Probably, I think last year it told us we got $500 just from, unfortunately, all of the money that we have spent on Amazon. Very, very guilty of that. So when it comes to their rewards programs, that's just one portion of them. That credit card also gives you 2% cash back on gas, on restaurant purchases, and 1% cash back on just any of your other general purchases. So all of this comes back into your pocket from using that card when you're traveling. So there's a lot of cards out there, and that's just one example. And they go from having no annual fee to having crazy annual fees. But the higher the tiers go, the more benefits you get out of these cards. And I can tell you that our credit cards pay for our Netflix, our Hulu, all of our streaming services. We don't actually pay for them per se, but we are paying an annual fee still. But that's why I said all of this goes into layers. So if you have certain cards, they're going to do certain benefits for you. Talking about those top tier cards, one of them, some of you might know as the American Express Platinum card. Now this has a crazy annual fee. It's $695, so that is very steep. So if you are not using the benefits of these cards, then it is not worthwhile for you to get certain cards like this. But because of that card, for example, we get to have a Walmart Plus membership for free. Now, a lot of us probably shop at Walmart too when we're on the road, especially if you might end up spending the night in one of their parking lots. That's kind of a last resort, but it does happen. So, because we pay that annual fee, we get that membership, and like I said, layers. Having the Walmart Plus membership then lets us have, for example, Paramount Plus for free. So it's all in layers. So if you can just deep dive and look into these cards, look into their benefits, and look into the ones that fit your lifestyle, there is a lot of things that these cards pay for. There is a lot of money that is going to be going back into your pocket. And I can tell you that I have saved us thousands of dollars just using credit cards. But like I said, this is not financial advice. So if you're going to do this, you have to be responsible. That's what's important when it comes to this. And another thing with credit cards, we all travel. Some of us go on airplanes. Some of us stay in hotels. There's lots of different things that we do because everybody travels a little bit differently. So another benefit of a lot of these credit cards is you're getting miles or you're getting points. And all of these add up. And what you can use them for example, we went on a trip to Mexico last September and we didn't pay a dime out of our pocket because I used points to pay for our airline tickets. So like I said, layers. You can use these cards. It adds up your points. And then on a lot of these cards, you can choose how you want to use them. You can just put it towards your statement to help pay it off. You can use it to go on an airplane. You can use it to stay in a hotel. There are so many versatile ways that you can use these things. So when I tell you that we really maximize this, we really do, because if I pulled out my wallet, we have a lot of different cards. So you have to get started in the game
All cards.
and then keep track of a lot of different layers, as I just said. I can talk to anybody about this in person, but there's so many layers. But just starting to look into things like this and what might work for you. As people know, airlines specifically have credit cards. Amazon has credit cards. Any stores you basically go to, they tend to have their own branded credit cards now. But there's a lot of ones out there that are specifically made for traveling. And if you can save money just by doing your normal purchases, who wouldn't want to do that? That's a great thing. Now, cash can be good too, though, because as we all know, sometimes you go to a gas station, you use cash, you automatically save an extra 10 cents. So there's a lot of people I know out there that don't even have any credit cards at all. So they just use cash or they use a debit card, for example. So there are still ways that you can save money with those too. There's even restaurants, you pay with cash, you get to save money. Restaurants, gas, there are so many versatile ways to just save. It might just be pennies, but it all adds up over time. And I think all of us just love to save money. We don't want to spend all of it.
And I want to add something. We haven't paid for a flight in like 5 years because of this. So it's like she said, it's layers, and you got to deep dive and do your own research. We're more than willing to sit down with people anytime and talk one-on-one and actually kind of go into specifics. Can't do that here, but it's definitely a way that we have probably at this point saved $10,000 to $20,000 in the last 4 years or so. So it's pretty incredible. But we don't want to hold up too much more time. We just wanted to give you kind of a brief way of some options that are out there to make money or to save money that maybe you haven't heard of, or you have, but you just didn't know anybody that's done it. So like I said, we're available afterwards if you have any specific questions that you want to ask us, because this stuff does go pretty deep on a lot of these things. So it's not something we can really cover to a group, and a lot of situations are individual. But at the end of the day, just make sure that you're budgeting, you're using as many apps to save and get free money back. And then, of course, look into possibly any credit card reward programs that fit your lifestyle, because she could go on for probably 4 hours about the luxury hotel stays we've gotten for free, etc., from credit cards, or them in Vegas, for example, where Nuvo's located. We go there, if we drop the van off to them, for example, to use it for like a showing somebody or whatever, we'll just use our free night and a luxury hotel right on the Vegas Strip. We automatically get upgraded because we're American Express Platinum cards. They put us in a penthouse apartment on the top floor last time we were there, for example, for free, for free. Yeah. So that's things like that, that if you use them, they add up and they really can fit your lifestyle to save some more money. And then, of course, spend more money or spend less money on the road. Maybe more money if you're like, yeah, Brittany's got to keep me in control because I like toys and accessories. But hence a lot of Amazon reward money from our purchases. But like I said, come up if you have any questions afterwards. We'll answer anything specifically. We can deep dive with you on an individual level. And there are more ways that we make money on the road that we just honestly don't have time to go into. So we can share those with you individual.
People can ask questions now.
Yeah. Does anybody have like any open general questions? Yeah, so that's actually a really good question. She was wondering, since we play the credit card reward game and we use that to our advantage, we have 10, 12 credit cards that we bounce between. What about getting hacked into, etc.? So we actually have used a program called Aura. It's an app program that protects your identity, things like that. It monitors your cards, etc., lets you know if anything has been hacked into, anybody's used your cards, etc. online. So that's really good. As well as a lot of the cards that we have actually have their own protection departments that notify us immediately if there's any charge on a card, and we'll see it obviously within a minute, and then we can just freeze the card via text. So easy things like that, but we use a program called Aura that monitors everything, including our bank accounts, and checks to see if anybody's selling our information online, our private information, whether it's like I had my social security number leaked once from a bank, for example. I would have been notified. I didn't know until 6 months later. So great question. Anybody else? All right, well, thank you guys for coming over and checking this out. We appreciate it, and have fun the rest of the weekend.